Hey, what's going on? I just played the new Zenless chapter in 1.5, the special record thing. It's been a few days, but I know I have to say something about it, right? So I decided to make this video. So before everything, right, I just want to say I'm not making this video to attack anyone. You know, they are on a time limit, a very limited time, and you know, construction criticism. It's all about having a way forward rather than pointing blame, right? That's more the point. So yeah, let's begin then. So video archive, right? Let's go into the special episode. Astra-nomical moment is the new one. Obviously, spoilers ahead, but it's ass. I don't know how to put it. It's just ass. Like, I know that Hoyo's writing has always been a bit kitsch, you know, a bit sentimental, a bit edgy, right? A bit cringe at times, right? That doesn't mean it has to be bad, right? It's anime, for God's sake. Like, it's always gonna have that sort of edgy, cringy value to it. It's its own aesthetics. It works, right? Like for Koleda's story, it works, right? The whole Evangelion / Gundam thing, it works. And for Miyabi, it works pretty well as well. The slicing, oh my god, the blade slicing the whole hollow into two halves. That was great. It works. Like, this is beyond, like, just kitsch. This is just bad storytelling, right? I'm gonna break it down, sort of chapter by chapter. You know, but the overall theme is that the character building in this story arc is just bad. There's so many missed opportunity. You know, the sort of we lack details, right, of who these two people, Astra Yao and Evelyn, are. We also have a stupid conflict that doesn't make any sense at all. Right, this conflict, it doesn't make sense, and I'm not happy with the resolution of it. So it was entirely offensive to me that this story exists as canon, right? Well, I don't know. I don't want to hate on anyone, but oh my god, I felt physical pain when I read this. Okay. Now. So, go back to the beginning. Part 1, not much to comment on really. It's just an introduction to Astra Yao. You know, it's the same old thing, a bit of fan service here and there. You know, it's anime, it's gonna have a beach episode, I don't care, I accept it, it's fine, whatever. Move to the second part, right? This part is actually great. Like...
What's Mr. Hobson blab?
It's gotta be a whiny version. I mean, if there's
I'm gonna
anything
skip through this part.
No, just a
Don't be mad. Check out what I found. It's Yoran's legacy work. The legend.
Like, look at this part. Right? What are they doing? They're bantering. Right? This is different from the public persona of Astra Yao and the public persona of Evelyn, right? Astra Yao is like this, you know, shiny idol, almost like divine being. But here, you know, she's very human. And, you know, Evelyn looks like this really tough, really straight-faced sort of bodyguard for her, but she's being sarcastic, you know? They're teasing each other, they're bouncing off of each other. Like, you immediately know There's something special between these two, right? It's not a contractual thing. It's they're at least friends, you know? They're at least friends. Maybe lover. Maybe they're just roommate. Who knows?
I told you before, remember? I was there. It's all thanks to the proxy.
You trust.
They're not random
Gonna skip through
If
this
you
again.
already knew they were but they've managed.
Wow, Eve, you're surprised.
Having every bit of information. You borrowed the makeup artist's phone.
Aw, I thought my plan was flawless. You're so sharp, Eve.
Like, look at this. This is... You know, this is so sweet. Astra Yao is
Before you were a...
Not
acting
exactly,
like a kid.
but close
kid.
enough.
Uh-huh. So...
Are you really thinking of singing a song about?
Huh?
Okay, so we went against. Did I miss anything?
Yes. Today's just the official deadline. And I know
Like,
you
look at
prepared
this. This is-
plenty of fallback deadlines.
This is great. This is Astra being intimate with Evelyn. You know, she's acting like a kid. She's not only acting as a kid, like a spoiled kid, right? She's making all these demands, right? Like behaving out of her line, whatever, with a straight face, without any guilt. You know, I know you prepare all that for me. I know you're there for me. You know, so deal with it, I guess. And Evelyn is like, okay, sure, whatever. I'll be a bit sarcastic to you, but, you know, I'm here for you. It's a really good moment of character writing. Same thing can't be said, you know, about the later part of this story. Right. I think we get the point, right? About this being good. This part, I don't have much issue with. I have some issue with the detail, the execution of it. But overall, they're not big concerns for me. So this part is where shit gets really bad, right? Staff notation of this era.
Miss Yao,
How's it looking?
I've looked into it.
Are they targeting the company?
Neither,
This is fine.
but
They're
in a
just
way, Yoran's
exchanging-
legacy cannot fall.
How did they
Exchanging
find out so
information,
fast?
whatever.
Your movements
This is
are
fine.
always watched, even those close to you.
Just a product propped
Don't let Fugue's slander or defamation.
my heart. I really want to shout, "Get lost!" at those big corporations like Fugue, and my music is just my...
Cover. I fear that you may follow.
There's one line from Yoran that I adore. Every heart is a lonely note.
Right. This is when it becomes weird, right? Astra Yao, just out of fucking nowhere, decided to do this whole ass presentation of her story with Yoran and her inspiration of music, right? The thing is, Evelyn has been working with her for years. Why is she saying that to Evelyn? It doesn't make sense, right? Like, you don't
This
speak like
song's
that
truly on the
with a
night the
friend
old capital
that
fell.
really,
You know,
really
I
knows
was
you,
the person
knows
who
your
rescued you at
aspiration.
that very moment. Turns out that's without me noticing. They were tears that cheered. I wiped
They've
those
been
tears, and
together
it
for
was Yoran
years.
who helped
They
me
later
realize
said
every
that,
era
you know,
needs its
Evelyn
own
has
song,
been
and
working
every
at
heart
this
is a
company
little open the curtain.
besides
So hearts-
Astra Yao for years. It doesn't make sense for her to retell this story and give all of this, you know, inspirational speech. It doesn't make sense, right? Like, it's ironic that she speaks this way because, you know, you can tell that she doesn't like Astra Yao, doesn't like the restraint of the capitalism, the corporate culture, right? She hates that, right? But it's really ironic that she speak in this so refined, sanitized, and almost cold way. it's ironic, and it really doesn't make sense for their character. What they said, what Astra Yao said, is her character. It makes sense that she feels that way, but it doesn't make sense for her to say it, especially to Evelyn, who she knew for years, right? Listen, I would just propose a alternative scene to this. You know, instead of this whole motivational speech thing, right? You know, maybe just let Astra show a moment of weakness. You know, she felt silent. Like Evelyn has never seen her like that. You know, they're like, she said, you know, do you want to sit down? Evelyn said, sure. You know, and they just sort of, Astra Yao sort of lean in on her shoulder, on Evelyn's shoulder, you know, whispering to herself, you know, like, man, sometimes I'm just tired of this. Evelyn is gonna be really, really, you know, look like she won't have a proper response, right? Like, she has this whole internal conflict about being a double agent and really adoring and admiring Astra Yao going out. She is not going to be able to come up with a response, right? This is a challenge for both of these characters, right? The conflict of, you know, being the product of capitalism and chasing the dream of music. And for Evelyn is that this dark past of herself conflicting with her will of staying beside Astra, right? Instead of motivational speech, right? Instead of keeping Astra as this divine being who doesn't have a weakness, who has like a whole bunch of motivational quotes whenever you ask her, right? Why not challenge her? Why not really make her show a bit of weakness, right? It works for their dynamics, right? Evelyn is there to protect her, but Evelyn herself also have a lot of things going on. Astra also treasures Evelyn as a friend. She doesn't get that very often in such an environment, right? All she gets is manager, music producer, all those corporate stuff. Evelyn is someone she can rely as a friend, not just as a bodyguard. You know, it's only reasonable for her to show weakness towards Evelyn. Like, I just don't get it. This is... this in-game story is just so bland and so nonsensical even. Anyway, my idea is to make Astra have a moment of weakness, Evelyn having a bit of a struggle of herself, having a bit of foreshadowing to her identity. You know, that would be grand, developing their emotions together. It would be grand. You know, it's better than this, I think. I don't know what you think, you probably already left. But yeah, keep going then. Gonna skip this part. Great costume, by the way. like the productions are great in this game, but they don't line up. Like, the build up is not great. Right, okay, here we go. The other mole. This is the part when they meet Lady de Winter, or Tessa, I think is her name. And they have this sort of exchange, and, you know, Evelyn suddenly have this, you know, sort of revelation of her own identity, which should have came way earlier, right? But anyway, all these aside, this part is fine, I guess. Some of the commentary on capitalism or sort of profit-driven corporate culture is a bit too on the nose, right? You don't see that much detail. You hear Wise or Bell, I don't know, in commenting on the what's his name? Anyway, the manager-esque guy, basically judging them. But you don't hear that. you don't see that in in his movement as well. So here, let's
You must be Belle and Wise.
Let's go
Welcome
through
to
this.
Starloop Tower.
Huh?
You've been pretty careful. Please rest assured.
Then,
Just simple logic. The only one capable of Of course, the reason I...
honestly, Belle, you're from an outside perspective.
this part is just. I mean, filler
Anyway,
is fine.
As-
People talk with
Talented
feelings. Oh, here we go.
individuals.
Hobson, that's your
These
name.
two are
Mr. Hobson, what... These two are Miss Yao's...
guests of Miss Yao. You both seem so young and.
We're just freelancers.
I see. Well, Evelyn, since Miss Yao's esteemed guests are
You
here,
see
why
the
don't you
change.
go attend to them?
Sorry, Hobson. You see the change in his face, right? In his expression, right? He's not really. It doesn't look judgmental to me, right? His words and his expression speak more of surprise that Astra will know a person that are a bunch of freelancer instead of, corporate people. He might be a bit surprised. He might not know how to, compliment them, how to perform his etiquette on his part, right? Like, there are so many explanations to this, but being judgmental, being profit-driven, and immediately dismiss them is not what I read from this.
But
So
what
the,
about the security?
I'll handle it.
so the later
Understood.
part really came as a surprise for me.
That gentleman over there keeps staring at us. It's a bit unnerving.
You don't stare at someone if you don't care about them, right? If this Hobson guy just think, oh, Astra probably met some random friends when she was on the run, so whatever, just let them be, let Evelyn take care of them, whatever. Like, he won't be paying attention to them. So how does this work? It doesn't make sense, right?
Well, today's performance...
So, what's so special? He's glaring at us again. So
Right.
intense. It must be tough working under someone like him.
Look at this. This doesn't make sense. If you don't care about some fucking lowlives, you won't be looking at them. You might be, glance over them occasionally, wondering how did they get here, right? You won't be staring at them. This is wrong. I know this is a small detail, but this is very wrong,
Not at
right?
all. In fact,
He even asked where we worked.
What makes it
When I told him it was just
worse
if you had told
is
him you
this
were
part.
fake for someone at his level, quickly judging others
Here.
based on their usefulness is second nature. Anyone deemed useless won't get a sliver of his attention. It's practically a survival skill for someone in his position.
This is directly contradictory to what he did. What he does, I guess. What he does in the story. He's keeping staring at them. He is paying attention. Then which one is it? Does he pay attention to them or not? Like, this is getting me so hard. It's ruining my immersion so hard. Sorry, I'm a nerd, right? I'm a nerd about writing. But you can't have a story that directly contradicts itself and to be expected to be taken seriously. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. It's
Astra isn't like that.
Just like
If
that.
we're talking about level,
That's right. Just to be honest, at first I kept waiting for her to show her true colors.
This part is also questionable. Like, why would Evelyn tell them that? Evelyn know they are, great friends with Astra, and then she knows Phaethon are friends with Astra, right? She knows that they are good people, they are nice people, whatever. But why would she say that to them, right? You'd expect there still be some kind of distance between Evelyn and us, essentially, and Phaethon. Like, why would she confide this sort of dark side of her to us? right? Think about that.
At first,
I know exactly what you mean.
Is it just me?
I won't let that
Eve!
What happened?
I just got scolded by the music.
I'm sure it...
Huh? Well,
So, until inspiration hits, you need
This
me
is
to
great.
take on the director?
This is great. You know, Astra Yao, being the kid, caused some trouble and expect Evelyn to fix it. Evelyn, being her, she loves Astra. She will fix it.
Eve, you promised to protect. Oh, how could you?
But you know, she won't do that without some banter.
This kind of back and forth feels oddly familiar.
Like, this
Totally.
is great.
Conversations like that happen every day between an unreliable sister and her sharp, capable brother.
Like, this is great. This is the type of, you know, character building, character writing we would like to see. Not the essay, not the motivational speech. Please, have more of this. Please.
Evelyn, stop!
Right. This part is not that important. They were introduced to
Where'd she go? And how does she run so?
Lady de Winter Tessa.
The clue from the coded message points to 8
This
PM
part is weird
Atrium
because
Landing.
they didn't even hint at Evelyn's secret identity before, you know? They have a lot of chances, right? When Astra is singing, you know, Evelyn can, you know, seem to be hesitating, you know, seem to be struggling with herself. You know, there could have been some clues for that. I don't think I've missed anything. I haven't seen the PV of either of these characters, that's for sure. Like, but right, the game story should be complete without the PV. The PV should be an add-on. That's my opinion. Okay, if they hinted at this in the PV,
Evelyn
I
A.
apologize. I missed that.
Chevalier, former producer of Redo Lucky Star, then assistant.
Not much to be said here. She's Green is her name, her code name, I guess. The wonders of magic. This part is the singing happening. I think that this part is pretty cool. I like the singing. I like the contrast between the singing and the fight. And there's a bomb. Well, shit. Right. The things that happened before this were unpolished, right? I'll be kind. It's unpolished. There are better ways to tell the story, to build the character. And being unpolished is undesirable, but it's not bad. It's not really that bad. You know, they are on a time constraint. They don't have that much time to polish everything out. But this is where it gets ridiculous. Let's see. Is it this one?
Evelyn,
No, it's not this
Astra,
one.
Can you hear me? The communication.
It's this one.
Having the desire to live is such an enviable thing.
She wants to kill herself.
Lady de Winter.
You already know the answer. Why bother asking? As the family of the deceased, I must hear
Great
the
voice
screams
acting.
of the
Jesus
murderers
Christ.
with my own
This is
ears.
great.
Murderers. I don't under.
All they have to say is he, and then they dump all the. If Odium and Few, would he have been forced to leave the stage he
Yeah,
once
capitalism
hoped?
bad. We all know that.
As music drifted
But we all
further
live in
and
the
further
system.
away from
It is what it is.
As if
Uh.
thank Odium. And after all, what could some? I must also thank the. If you hadn't cast him aside, so how would he have fallen slowly? I must thank you. Do you realize when the next nightingale hatches, just like your honor, all of you are murderers. It was you, all of you, who drove Yoran de Winter to his death.
This part, where it starts to not make sense. Right? Lady de Winter, she's aware that Astra, just as her late husband, is a victim of capitalism, of corporations, right? She knows that, just like her husband. After they extract all the value out of her, she'll be tossed aside. But then, she says, all of you are murderers. All of you are murderers. Not just the corporate, not just capitalism. All of you are murderers. So what's the sort of conflict Lady De Winter present here? It, like, the logic inside her argument doesn't work, right? Is Astra Yao a victim, or is she a murderer? You can say she's complicit, but this is not what Lady De Winter said, right? She said, you are the murderer. So this whole conflict, because of this line, just sort of fell apart. You know, it's no longer a genuine confrontation to Astra Yao, right? It's just a crazy woman trying to blow up her ship, and that's it. There's no deeper meaning behind this anymore, right? And that's a shame. That's a shame. Because there's so much to be dug into in this conflict. Because, you know, Lady De Winter have a reason to hate Astra Yao, but not as a killer, not as a murderer, but as someone who's complicit to the system. Astra Yao has all the attention, all that power, but she decides to, you know, pretend that nothing ever happened. She must know that something bad is going on inside the corporation. She hates the corporation. She knows it's corrupted, it's profit-driven, it's inhumane. She knows that, right? Lady De Winter, if we assume she to be reasonable, should know that Astra Yao knows that as well. Then the conflict would be, you know all of this, why don't you try to make a change? If you really, really care about my husband's legacy, you should care about what drove him to quit, right? He made a decision. He decided, that's it. I'm tired of this capitalism bullshit. Then you've seen all this, right, Astra Yao? You've seen all this. Why don't you quit, right? Why don't you rise up against it? That's a genuine question that makes sense, right? That's a real challenge for Astra Yao to answer, and she can answer. Later down the story, it was revealed that Astra Yao has been saving money to, you know, break away from the agent. She's been doing that the whole time. It's something she can argue, right? Rather than just say random crazy woman who lost her husband just trying to kill everyone in this New Year's concert. Which one is the better conflict? The one with real ideological stake on it? Or the one where you just blame on anything and everything on, you know, oh, Lady De Winter is irrational, you know, she's hatred driven. You decide, I guess. And, you know, then it comes the resolution, right? As we see, Astra Yao sings, and her audience sings, and the Evelyn goes around and fix all the propeller or whatever, you know, and they manage to get the star loop flying again. But a part of me just think that this sort of defeats the purpose. One of the huge points in this story is that music is magic. What does it mean to say music is magic? It's not that music have some sort of superpower, supernatural power, right? Although in this world, of course, it propels, ship, flying ship, whatever, right? In this world, it has superpower, but they didn't mean that. Astra Yao didn't mean that when she says music is magic. She means the connecting sort of the connecting ability of music. It's talking about people's connection. It's about the solace it can provide when people are desperate, right? That's the point. It's not real magic that creates miracle. So this resolution really isn't saying anything. It's like, it's as if I said cooking is magic. I love cooking. Cooking is magic. And somehow my, shrimp fried rice just saved the entire world by some sort of obscure power reconstruction mechanism, right? It sort of disproves the point. Well, I can't say it disproves the points, but it doesn't prove anything about the true mythical, spiritual power of music, which is what Astra Yao is supposed to be all about, right? This whole part is just a complete mess. From Lady De Winter's monologue to the end, it's a complete mess. None of this makes sense. None of these have any stake. They are in dead or alive danger. Of course, that. But you also know that Hoyo will never kill them off. At this point, at least, right? There's no real stake. There's no real question about the characters that have been asked or being answered. So, do I have an alternative for this? Yeah, I do, actually. I do. Like I said, right? Lady De Winter can have a valid criticism of Astra Yao being complicit to corporation and capitalism. Astra Yao should prove that. Should be given a chance to prove that. She's more than that, So what do we do? Okay, we change Lady De Winter's plan. Lady De Winter never intended to kill anyone on the Star Loop, right? So, back to the beginning. At this part, have someone talk with Astra Yao about the evacuation plan, in case that Star Loop goes wrong. Astra Yao naturally asks, how about Evelyn? How about the audience? And the corporation are sort of just, it's not feasible for us to prepare a evacuation plan, from the sky for all of the audience, right? If the worst happen, the best we can do is to protect you. And this goes again Astra's principle. She loves her fan. She will put her fans' life in front of her, right? So you plant this seed down. You foreshadow what's gonna happen next, right? Lady De Winter knows this. They know they have a backup plan to save Astra Yao. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna create this scenario that Star Loop is gonna fall from the sky. And Astra Yao would be forced to evacuate. And then, after the Star Loop lands, all the rumors are gonna go wild. Astra Yao abandoning her audience. Odeon being this irresponsible company that puts the audience in danger. their reputation is gonna be ruined. And it proves Lady De Winter's point. If you, say, jump out the Star Loop with a parachute, you are proving her point. You are complicit to capitalism. You see them putting these people at risk and to protect the asset that is you, and you follow that. You know, it proves her point of Astra Yao being a bad person, being someone that's complicit, knowingly, you know, going about her days, knowing the crime of the corporation, right? Now, this is a conflict that's interesting, because Astra Yao is presented with a decision to make. Not like in the original conflict, where, you know, she doesn't really decide on anything. You know, then you can have Astra Yao say, you know what, I have an evacuation plan, but I don't care. I'm here with my audience, right? Just like Yuran stayed with me when I was trapped in the hollow. I'm gonna stay here with my audience. Like, I'm gonna sing to them until, you know, we all face our ends. I'm gonna do that. And Evelyn is so deeply impressed by her, of course she would, and say, yeah, I'll stay with you, right? They can have all the confession or whatever before this, right? So, but, you know, you have the moment where Astra Yao makes the decision to face the potentially crashing flying loop, star loop, right? She has a choice to make. She can either choose to live and abandoning her audience, or she can choose to stay. Now, this is a real dilemma. This is a real test of character, and this is what we want when we write characters, right? We don't want to write characters that are flawless, that are impervious, right? We want them to be challenged. We want them to bleed, to make really difficult decisions. Then the audience can acknowledge their strengths, their bigger than life quality, right? So Astra Yao decides to stay. She says to Evelyn, you know, you can leave if you want. It's been nice knowing you, know. You are more than what you give credit to yourself. You can leave, you know, live your life. Evelyn said, no, I'm never gonna abandon you. I'm gonna stay here with you. Again, another choice presented to Evelyn this time, whether she leaves or she stays. And this build character, you know, all of this just tied up together so neatly. It's so incredible to me that of all the possibilities of telling the story, how did Hoyo end up with this incoherent mess of a story? This vapid attempt at creating conflict. Like, I said I don't want to be harsh. I don't want to attack anyone. But honestly, even by their standard, this is not acceptable, right? I mean, at least they're doing something with her, you know, with her hangout with the Faith, and you know, at least they're trying to do something to try to save her character. Unlike Bernice, which is a complete mess at this point. Bernice is beyond saving. She's my Oshi as well, by the way. I might go schizophrenic after if, you know, how you pull anything like this again. So yeah, that's my video. It's a ton of yapping and ton of self-indulgent rant. You know, I respect you if you watch until now. Like, seriously, I don't think everyone will do this, but thank you. Thank you for listening to me yap. Whether you are truly a hater that just waiting to be typing out that paragraph to hate on my opinion, I thank you anyways. Paying attention to me is more than, you know, what I can demand. Like, whether it's negative or positive. If you agree with me, you know, feel free to share that as well. You know, I also need some affirmation, you know. Anyway, time for me to go. I don't have any social media. I have nothing to promote. You can't pay me. So, I honestly don't want you to. Anyway, I'm on my way out. See you. Or goodbye. Or farewell.